Hide the truth, I wanna shelter you. With the beast inside, there's nowhere we can hide. No matter what we breathe, we still are made of green. This is my kingdom.
Alexandra Eala's arrival in Paris became one of the most unforgettable scenes in recent sports history, not because she had already won a championship there, but because thousands of people welcomed her like a global superstar before she even played a single match. Paris is a city that has seen history unfold for centuries. It has celebrated revolutions, survived wars, hosted world-famous athletes, musicians, and political leaders. Yet, even in a city so familiar with greatness, nobody expected what happened the night Alexandra Eala landed at Charles de Gaulle Airport. Security officials had prepared for a normal athlete arrival. Tournament organizers expected a small group of tennis fans and maybe a few members of the Filipino community. Instead, the airport was overwhelmed by massive crowds chanting her name with incredible energy and emotion. Witnesses later described the atmosphere as unbelievable. The noise echoed through the terminal so loudly that windows reportedly shook from the force of the crowd. Airport staff, journalists, and even experienced security personnel stopped what they were doing just to watch the scene unfold. And standing calmly in the middle of all that chaos was a 20-year-old tennis player from Quezon City, Philippines, Alexandra Eala. What made the moment so extraordinary was this: she had not yet won anything in France. The tournament had not even started. She had not played a single point on the clay courts. Yet the crowd waiting for her looked more like the reception for a world leader, music icon, or Olympic legend than for a young athlete still early in her professional career. That raised a question many people in Europe suddenly began asking: who exactly is Alexandra Eala, and why do so many people care about her? To understand the answer, you have to go back years before Paris, back to Spain, where Eala quietly built the foundation of her career. She trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Manacor, one of the most respected tennis academies in the world. The academy is known for its intense system. Players are pushed physically, mentally, and emotionally every single day. The training is designed not only to improve skill, but also to test discipline, patience, and mental toughness. Many talented players struggle under that pressure. Some lose confidence. Others fail to adapt to the demanding environment. But Alexandra Eala thrived there. Her coaches quickly noticed something different about her. She had a left-handed playing style that naturally created difficult angles for opponents, but what truly separated her from others was her mindset. Under pressure, she stayed calm. When matches became difficult, she did not panic. When others became nervous, she became sharper and more focused. That level of mental strength is rare, especially in young athletes. It usually comes from years of sacrifice, discipline, and emotional resilience. In Eala's case, coaches believed it came from both natural instinct and relentless hard work. As she progressed through junior tennis, more people inside the sport began paying attention. Scouts, coaches, and agents quietly talked about her potential. The whispers grew louder after she started winning important tournaments. Then came the breakthrough that changed everything. Alexandra Eala won the Australian Open Girls Doubles title and later captured the U.S. Open Girls Singles Championship, becoming the first Filipino athlete ever to win a Grand Slam junior singles title. That victory was historic. For the Philippines, it represented something far bigger than tennis. It was proof that a Filipino athlete could compete and succeed at the highest international level in a sport traditionally dominated by countries with stronger tennis systems and much larger resources. But the emotional impact extended far beyond the Philippines itself. Millions of Filipinos live and work overseas in Europe, North America, the Middle East, and Asia. These overseas Filipino workers often spend years away from their families, sacrificing comfort and stability to support loved ones back home. For many of them, moments of Filipino success carry deep emotional meaning. When a Filipino athlete wins internationally, it feels personal. It becomes a source of pride, hope, and identity. It reminds them of home. Alexandra Eala became one of those symbols. Her success made people feel represented on the world stage. She was young, disciplined, intelligent, and fearless. Many Filipinos saw themselves and their dreams reflected in her journey. So when news spread that she would compete in France, Filipino communities across Europe began organizing almost immediately. Groups from Paris connected with supporters from Brussels, Amsterdam, and other cities. Social media helped spread information quickly. People ordered jerseys, prepared Philippine flags, and planned chants and welcome messages weeks in advance. What happened next surprised everyone. French authorities repeatedly revised their crowd estimates before her plane arrived. Each estimate became larger than the last. Still, officials underestimated how emotional and passionate the reception would become. When the airport doors finally opened and Alexandra Eala appeared, the crowd erupted. Videos from the night showed fans crying, cheering, waving flags, and reaching out just to catch a glimpse of her. One elderly Filipino woman held a handmade sign reading, "We are here, Alex." Children sat on their parents' shoulders, staring at Eala with admiration. Airport workers who had spent decades seeing celebrity arrivals said they had never witnessed anything similar for a tennis player her age. French journalists covering the event admitted they were shocked. European tennis culture is usually more reserved and controlled. Fans clap politely, appreciate talent quietly, and rarely display overwhelming emotion before an athlete has achieved major professional success. But what surrounded Alexandra Eala felt completely different. It was raw, emotional, and deeply human. And perhaps the most impressive part of all was Eala herself. Despite the enormous noise and attention, she remained calm. She smiled naturally, greeted supporters warmly, and moved through the crowd with quiet confidence. Observers noticed that she did not seem overwhelmed by the moment. Instead, she looked like someone who had mentally prepared for it long before it happened. As videos spread online, the scene quickly went viral. Major sports networks across Europe replayed the footage. Social media users from around the world reacted with amazement. Many people admitted they had never heard of Alexandra Eala before that night and immediately wanted to learn more about her. Meanwhile, Filipinos everywhere responded with pride and emotion. To them, this was not surprising at all. They believed the world was finally discovering what they had known for years. But behind the emotional scenes and viral attention, professional tennis analysts were focused on something else: her actual game. Experts understood that crowds and popularity alone do not create champions. What interested them was Eala's potential as a serious competitor. Analysts pointed to her left-handed play, strong court intelligence, excellent movement, and mental composure under pressure. Many believed she possessed the qualities necessary to compete successfully against top-ranked professional players in the future. Suddenly, Alexandra Eala was no longer viewed simply as a promising junior player from the Philippines. She had become an international figure, someone capable of attracting global attention both on and off the court. Her arrival in Paris symbolized something larger than sports. It represented the power of identity, pride, sacrifice, and belief. It showed how one athlete's journey could unite millions of people across different countries and cultures. And perhaps most importantly, it showed that Alexandra Eala's story was only beginning. Alexandra Eala's game is one of the main reasons tennis experts have started paying serious attention to her rise. Her left-handed serve alone creates major problems for opponents. Most professional players spend the majority of their careers facing right-handed competitors, so they're less comfortable adjusting to the unusual angles a left-handed player can create. Eala's serve naturally swings wide into a right-handed opponent's backhand, forcing them out of position and creating openings early in rallies. But her serve is only part of what makes her dangerous. She combines that weapon with remarkable baseline consistency, excellent movement, and the ability to absorb an opponent's power and redirect it with precision. Years of clay court training in Spain helped develop her endurance, patience, and court coverage. She can stay in long rallies without losing focus, forcing opponents into mistakes while remaining calm under pressure. As analysts studied her game more closely during the days after her arrival in Paris, conversations inside French tennis circles reportedly became more serious and urgent. While social media focused on the emotional airport scenes and viral videos, tournament organizers and tennis experts were dealing with a completely different reality: the growing scale of the Alexandra Eala phenomenon. Roland Garros is designed for passionate crowds, but what followed Alexandra Eala to Paris felt different from normal tennis support. It resembled the atmosphere of a national stadium rallying behind a single player. That created real logistical challenges. Tournament officials suddenly had to think carefully about court assignments and crowd control. Which court should host her matches if thousands of supporters carrying Philippine flags would completely transform the environment? How should organizers balance support for French players competing at home with the reality that huge numbers of ticket holders were attending specifically to cheer for Eala? These were no longer hypothetical questions. They became practical concerns discussed at high levels of tournament organization. And that alone revealed how significant her impact had become. Yet beyond the logistics, beyond the strategy discussions, and beyond the viral attention, the story of Alexandra Eala represents something much larger than tennis itself. Sport has always reflected deeper human emotions. At its most powerful, it becomes more than entertainment. It reveals identity, hope, struggle, pride, and belonging. For many Filipinos, especially those living overseas, Alexandra Eala represents all of those things at once. Millions of Filipinos spend years working far from home, sacrificing comfort and time with family in order to create better futures for loved ones. Many experience loneliness, homesickness, and the quiet pressure of rebuilding their lives in unfamiliar countries. For those communities, seeing Alexandra Eala walk confidently through the airport in Paris carried enormous emotional meaning. Parents who left children behind to work abroad saw resilience in her success. Young Filipinos who had been made to feel limited because of where they came from saw proof that global success was possible. Workers and immigrants who spent years trying to earn recognition in foreign countries saw someone carrying their identity proudly on the world stage without fear or apology. Without speaking directly to those struggles, Eala symbolized an answer to them. Her presence seemed to say, "Look at what we can achieve when given the opportunity." That is why the reaction surrounding her felt deeper than ordinary sports fandom. It was not simply excitement over a talented athlete. It was collective pride and emotional recognition shared by millions of people. Interestingly, many French observers began to understand that emotional weight as well. France has long wrestled with complicated questions involving identity, immigration, culture, and national belonging. Watching Filipino supporters arrive in such large numbers